Welcome to my YouTube channel one more time. This is Lewin here, and we are heading to Mazda of Fort Myers. We are about to take a look at one of the cars that they have there. I think we're only gonna have time for one today. I was thinking about looking at reviewing the Mazda Miata because that's my favorite car ever that Mazda makes. But I've had one. But there's a newcomer for Mazda that I'm also thinking about taking a look at today, which is um, the CX-70. I've been pretty excited for this car, so it's been out for a little while now. I know this review is coming late, but I haven't been really doing much. So we're probably going to be looking at the CX-70 today, and right now I'm just heading there. I'm about 18 minutes away from here. I mean, from there. So when I get there, I'll cut the camera back on, and then we'll go take a look at this car, see what it has to offer. And one of my biggest questions regarding that car that I think today will be a good answer for is it a good contender for BMW's X5? All right, everybody, so here we are now at Mazda of Fort Myers, and we're going to be taking a look at this car over here. This is the 2025 CX-70. This is a pretty new addition for Mazda, and there's a couple things we're going to be talking about. So one of the biggest things is this looks very close to what we have before, which was the CX-90. That one came out a little bit ago, but this is Mazda's newest edition. I know it's been out for a little while now, but we're still going to talk about it and see what we come up with. First impression, I'm in love with it. I love the way it looks. I used to love the CX-90 as well. Um, I'm still learning about what this car has to offer. There's plenty it has, and a big thanks to Mazda of Fort Myers, obviously, for lending us this car. That's why we're able to review it today. So without any further ado, we're gonna go take a look at it and see what this beautiful CX-70 has to offer. All right, going on about what this car has to offer. So this one first is equipped with a 3.3 liter inline six turbo engine, which is awesome. I love that Mazda is adopting that. They've been doing it since they brought the CX-90, and now they have it in the CX-70 as well. I think this is something that will probably take over most of their other vehicles. If you think this looks weird, it's because the hood is currently popped up. So let's open this up. This is what you have, like most cars nowadays. You have a big piece right here that's kind of preventing you from seeing what's under here, but what they did is pretty cool. For the text, we are going to work on this. It's very easy to access. You also have this little thing here that you take out, and then you can hook it up here. That is awesome. Makes it nice and easy. It gets out of the way. Very easy, quick way to secure it and unsecure it so you can move it out of the way. I think that's a pretty good job on Mazda's part. And this is what your engine looks like. Personally, I think it looks good. So we'll see what else this car has to offer. Those wheels, these are the only ones I've seen so far. I think they look good, but I think they could have some better option than this because, again, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I was asking if this would be something that could compare to the BMW's X5. So far, what I'm seeing, it could, but there's a couple things that still need some, uh, what would you say, a little bit of an upgrade. Now let's check this out. This is the interior. Don't mind my bag of gear. I should have planned better. Don't mind this. But red leather interior, I think this looks great. You have a big display. I think all this looks pretty good. Here's the rear. Looks like ample room over here. So I am 5'6", 5'7" on a good day. I have a lot of room. I'm sure somebody was a lot taller than me might have something different to say. But from what I'm seeing, this is very similar to the size of the X5. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is very similar to the size of the next X5. And the X5 are very spacious, and so is this. So I think somebody that tall would fit without any issues. Here's a Miata over there. One of my favorite cars, as I said earlier. But here's the rear. I think that looks pretty good over there. Let's see how much cargo room we have in this. Oh, it looks like this comes with some goodie. So you have a roadside assistance kit, you have a first aid kit, it looks like, and a cargo block. That's pretty nice of Mazda. Okay, this looks to be a very deep, but I will say this. One of the things I think a lot of SUVs do nowadays, well, before I say that, let's find out if that's true with this one. Let's see. Okay, that was my worry. Well, there is a spare tire in here, so it's not really much wasted space because you can tell underneath here. I don't know if you can see it. That's a spare tire. Now, whether that's a full size, I am not sure, but it is a full. It is a spare tire in there. All right, so here we are. Here we are. We are going to be driving this Mazda CX-70. Let's see how it feels. I'm pretty excited to check this thing out. Oh, first, look at this camera. That is trippy, but also cool. I don't know if there's a different way of seeing this. Let's see. Yes, there is. That was my concern. So with the camera, you can switch if you want to actually just see the camera. You're gonna see in the front. Can you do that too? Perfect. That was my concern. I think you will get used to this, and this has some use being able to see the corners of the front or the rear of the car. It is cool, but when I first saw it, I wasn't a big fan. But now it is growing on me. But I just wanted to make sure that as a consumer, you are able to switch your view, which is very important. And I have noticed that um, manufacturers will add a lot of cool things in cars, which I love all the time. But I spent 6 years selling cars. There is always going to be that one person or those two people who do not like it at all. So it is a good thing that Mazda does offer you a way to switch that if you want to. Looks like you have front cross traffic alert, rear cross traffic alert. I already know about that. Now let us go take this for a quick spin. I've always loved Mazda's cameras. They always have such great quality. It has been one of my favorite cars to own. Well, I haven't owned the CX-70, but I've owned quite a few Mazdas. When I say I've always loved Mazda's cameras, that is a lie. I've not always loved Mazda's cameras. The newer cameras, going from 2021 and newer, those cameras I've always loved. But the cameras that they had before, they were terrible. They're just like every other manufacturer, Toyota, Lexuses, and all those other people. Those were absolutely awful cameras. I'm not speaking for new Lexuses because I don't know what their cameras look like now. But first impressions of this car, I like the way it feels. I did take it to the gas station earlier to get some gas, and it felt really good just driving it in the back roads over here. Just adjusting my mirror a little bit. It was just a tiny bit off of like how I like to have them usually. Ah, I was wondering where the drive selector was. We're gonna throw that in sport a little bit. Not gonna do anything crazy, but I just wanna see what it sounds like. Okay, sounds good. It's quick. It's definitely quick. It's not super fast. Like only car I can compare this to in my head right now would be the BMW X5 because again that was the most recent sales job I worked for BMW, and I drove the X5s quite a bit, as in my opinion is one of BMW's best sellers, and I enjoyed it. So this feels not quite as good as an X5, but it is very close in my opinion. And when I say very close, I don't mean like it is like super close, but it is the closest thing to a feeling of driving a BMW that I can think of right now. I've always loved the way Mazdas drive, but I think this is pretty solid. I like it a lot. And again, we're driving the Turbo S Premium, if you are wondering. So this is pretty well loaded. It's very stiff, and not in a bad way. It feels like you're driving a sports car. If you ever driven a sports car, that is one thing I've always loved about Mazda, which never bothered me. They feel very sporty when you're driving them. Uh oh, somebody got pulled over. All right. Oh, that is another thing. Is this car quieter than the CX-5? Let's turn the AC down a little bit. So the reason why I'm comparing this to the CX-5, they're obviously two very different cars. But the reason I'm comparing this to the CX-5 is um, I have owned a few CX-5s. I currently own one. That's the one my wife drives, and that car is very quiet. The first time I drove a CX-5, I remember I was in the market for a car. And I started working for Mazda. That was a while back ago, and I couldn't find anything I liked. And somebody was like, "Hey, you work for Mazda. Why don't you just buy a Mazda?" And I was like, "You know what? I do like the way Mazdas look, so let me maybe look at one." And I did look at the CX-5, and that was my first time driving a CX-5 and actually paying attention to it. I had gone on test drives before. I had worked there for about a month, maybe 2 months, and I had gone on test drives with a few cars. Great. Lost my rear camera there. That was fun. Um, but as I was saying, I had gone on a few test drives, but I never really paid attention. I knew it was a good product, but I never actually paid attention to what I was driving. To me, it was just a job. And when I took the car on a test drive, after about 2 months of working for Mazda, I took it for a test drive and looked at it as it was a car that I would buy. I fell in love with Mazda all over again. I mean, I've always loved Mazda Miatas. Obviously, almost everybody loves Mazda Miatas. I don't care who you are. At least at one point in your life, you probably wanted a Mazda Miata, especially for when they had those flip up headlights and all that stuff. It's such a fun car to drive. Um, I knew I wanted a Miata, but I didn't think I would want a CX-5. I thought the Miata would be the only Mazda that would be ever a car for me. And then I took the CX-5 for a test drive after my friend. I actually had a friend of mine who bought one, who was working there, and he's the one who mentioned, "You work here, why don't you just buy a Mazda?" And I took one for a test drive, and needless to say, I fell in love with it. It was a great car. I realized how quiet it was. I had a Genesis before that, and when it felt just as good as the Genesis, except for it wasn't as quick as the Genesis, which is understandable. I had sold my Genesis G70 at the time, and that's how I fell in love with the brand Mazda. And if you're looking for a car and you're looking for a good SUV, five seater that is big enough for the family, but not too big. You don't need a third row, and you are considering some of the luxury brands. I think this is a good option. I mean, you would be surprised of what you might think, how it feels, how it drives, and I think it's pretty good. And again, it's not a BMW. No, I don't want you to hear me say it's not a BMW and think that I'm knocking this brand now. Absolutely not. BMWs, in my opinion, they have a very, very, very tall order to fill. So not everybody is going to be able uh, to compete with BMW because of how they build their cars. They've been doing it for a very long time. They've been in the luxury side, and it's not just luxury; it's also very sporty. They've been on that side. They've been doing this for a while, so they know what they're doing. But this is very close, extremely close in my opinion. And I think that BMW needs to watch out because as the more Mazda keeps on building cars, the better and better they get, and the more I feel like they're closing that gap between BMW and Mazda. Now, that being said, I'm talking about just quality, build quality, how it feels, the way the car handles. There's a couple things where it still need to improve. For instance, how soft the ride is. To me, not an issue. I don't mind that it's not that soft. I like a stiffer car. I like a sportier feel. But most people don't. A lot of people are going to, especially if they're shopping brands like BMW, Mercedes, they're going to want something that feels like buttery smooth. Now, BMW has the perfect balance between buttery smooth and very sporty. Mazda's got a really, really, they got sporty part, they've got it down. I think they need to do a little bit better when it comes to smoothness. It's smooth. Again, not saying it's not smooth. It is very smooth. But you have there's a it's just a level of subtlety that BMW has a little bit over this. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit over this. And then you have what you call it, technology that has been my biggest issue with Japanese brands, and Mazda has been doing better. Toyota has been doing better. Everybody's been doing better, but the Korean market, like Hyundai, Kia, and you also have the other markets. They are always way far ahead of whatever Mazda, BMW. Oh, sorry, I don't want to say BMW. Whatever Mazda, Toyota, and Lexus, Honda, whatever these brands, Acura will have to offer. The other markets are usually far ahead. I never have so much of a big issue with Mazda since 2021 because of what they've been doing, but they could do better. I think the technology needs to improve. It has improved. Not that it hasn't. It has improved quite a bit, but it could be better than what it is now. That is one thing that I think every Japanese brand out there has to do, has to work on, is their technology. It's not good enough. It's good, but it's not good enough. For instance, you don't have a touchscreen unless you're using Apple CarPlay. So when you're in Apple CarPlay, it is a touchscreen. If you are not in Apple CarPlay, it is not a touchscreen. That can be an issue because some people do want their touchscreens. Now, I do love this dial, and I hope Mazda never, ever, ever, ever goes away with this little part right here. I have this little dial, this little wheel where you can use that to adjust your screen. I love that feature. Every car I get in, ever since I've been owning Mazdas, I look for something like that. BMW has it, other manufacturers have it, and I think it's great because it gives you an option. You can either touchscreen or you can do what's safer, which is using the wheel. And once you get used to it, you kind of don't even need to look at the screen much or look down. You don't need to look down once you know where the buttons are that go along with the wheel. But you don't. It's so easy. You're not so distracted as you're driving. I love that. But still, do not take away the touchscreen from consumer because people love technology. Some won't, but most do. This is a nice car. We are now back at the dealership. Gonna go park this and give the final thoughts. And maybe somebody can give us some more information about this. Again, I don't work for Mazda. I haven't in a very long time. Uh, I just like the product because I'm a consumer myself, and they were kind enough to let me use this car for a review. Speaking of Mazda of Fort Myers, so let us see what we can come up with after we part this thing. Yeah, I think I'm getting pretty used to this. I'm getting very used to this camera. It's not bad. I like it. Caught me off guard at first, but it's really nice. I like that you can see this now. I didn't at first, but and my other camera fell. My mount is not working properly, so you can't really see the screen. But maybe I'll grab the other camera and show you. Terrible. You also have your drive selector here, which when you change it, oh, right here, shows you the different driving modes and a little different animation to show you what's going on. It's a little delayed, it looks like. Yeah, that is a little delayed. Nothing crazy. Something I noticed because I like technology. I don't know everything about technology, but I do like a smooth, buttery smooth transition. And you've got memory seats, a couple more things over here, and some of the other options for your steering wheel. I love this. I love that they put this in there. So power adjustable steering wheel, that is something I wish I had in my car, but it is what it is. The Mazda I own doesn't have that, but it's okay. I do like the design language that they used in this car. I think it looks pretty good. Hey, camera buddies. But here we are. This is my mount that fell on me. Great. It is what it is. Those ventilated seats are working. They are working. That feels good. But yeah, here we are. So this is my review of the CX-70. I think all in all, it's a pretty good option. There's some stuff in here. Not enough storage in here, but they finally upgraded. When I say finally, they've had it for a little while now in some of the new cars, but I say finally because my car is a 2022, does not have those. It has the older USB ports, but the new CX-5s have the new USB ports as well. So let's go check out the rear. So here's the cargo area. You got some tools. Looks like you got a spare tire underneath here. I'm not gonna lift this, but I can see. I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I can see a little bit of like part of the tire. I don't think the camera will pick it up, but I can see it underneath here, and you can also see the outline on the plastic mold there. You've got, what is this? Roadside assistance kit, first aid kit, cargo blocks, the pool shade. It's pretty good. Again, my only complaint with this is I feel like there's not enough room between this and the top of the car. I think they could do better, but I mean, it is what it is. What you get, you can lock or put this down like this. Power lift gate, very important. So one of the things I just realized is this has the roof racks. So a couple years ago when Mazda first came out with the CX-50, which I don't know if they fixed that. When they came out with the CX-50, that was a huge issue. When you had the roof racks installed, You would hear whenever you go past a certain speed, you would hear this whistling noise that was very, very annoying. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't like the CX-50. I mean, I like the CX-50, but that's the reason why I didn't like it, if that makes sense. I love the way it looks with the roof rack sun. However, it was a big issue because you would have this whistling noise the minute you go over, like, I think 25, 30 miles an hour. So it was there constantly, and I hated that. So I'm glad that I didn't notice anything like that. I didn't even realize that I had the roof rack on until just now. So I drove it and I didn't hear any noise. Something that would be interesting to test in the future would be if I were to take this to on the highway and drive it above 70 miles an hour, if I would hear something or notice a difference. It's nice that you have these shades. And this car, as tested, is only 55,000 MSRP. I think that's pretty good for what you get. Because here's my train of thought. If money's no object, would I pick this over an X5? No. But would I buy both? Probably. And that might not make sense to you. It makes sense to me because I like to think about business. I would buy this and put this car in Turo, rent it out, because I would own this car myself. I love it. Now, would I buy a used BMW X5 for the same price over this? Absolutely not. I would buy this all day, all night over a BMW as long as we're looking at the used market. Now, if you're looking at the brand new market and money's no object, I would definitely go for the X5. However, I am in love with this car. I love the way it looks on the inside, the way it looks on the outside. I think Mazda does a really good job. And again, thanks to Mazda of Fort Myers for allowing me to review this car for you today. And thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow for more videos coming your way.